Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another instalment of Turbo Tuesday here with Next Gen Racing. I'm Jack, one of the co-hosts, as always, as part of this wonderful tradition that we've got going on its 15th episode now, which is fantastic to have got to this point in time, commentating on all things Season 20 here in what has been a well-established series across Next Gen. Joining us, as always, for the wonderful chats and tribulations and discussions on Season 20 and everything Next Gen. Jordan, you're here again today.
Yeah, good evening. Well, I'm here every week, mate. Otherwise, there's no stream.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. A long week, lots of racing, especially for me, as you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of the events. Obviously, all of the race series within Next Gen have now completed their first opening rounds, so we'll be able to discuss those that we weren't able to do last week, and as well as that we'll cover the Monday and Tuesday leagues that have happened obviously yesterday and today that have gone on to their second rounds. But we'll crack things off, shall we, George? Shall we get straight into it straight away?
Why not? I mean, there's no better time than the present.
Absolutely. So we'll start things with the Wednesday leagues, and that's Seto Corsa Competizione GT3 League on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, of course, hosted by Elliot Hankin. Jordan, can you run us through what happened there on that first round?
Yeah, so the obviously I'm competing in Lobby 2, so we'll go discuss that afterwards. But Lobby 1 wise, they both went to Imola, brand new circuit for the drivers. Obviously introduced less than a month ago, Imola, maybe a touch longer. Imola was introduced into the game, and naturally Elliot put it as round 1 for the season. In terms of Lobby 1, it was Kill City who won the race in his McLaren 720S GT3 car. Quite a few McLarens in this lobby, along with the new Mercedes 2020 car and the Ferrari. A few Audis. It's really weird. It's one of the top lobby has less cars in, like car manufacturers, compared to Lobby 2. I think that's probably because the top guys know what cars are fastest. But as always, they have to stick with their car choice or suffer a points penalty for changing them. But Kill City won there with Hukan Lukan in second. RV Motorsport, who was the inaugural ACC Race of Winners champion, and also Ginetta GT4 champion from last season. He finished third. And here's a name you'll recognise, Jack. Next Gen Hero Cramp finishing fourth in a Ferrari. He's getting himself to grips with ACC, and he's doing just fine, shall we say. Next Gen Hanking was fifth. At this point, I must point out 5 different manufacturers occupying the top 5 spots. He had a McLaren, a Lexus, a Mercedes, a Ferrari, and then an Audi of Hankin. And then we had our first duplicate of Marty VR in 6th in his Audi. Gonna Fail Uni, I know you like that PSN. Jack, he's in 7th. Next Gen Beam Flicker in 8th. Next Gen Lager, I'm not going to say the last bit for completely other I'll call him this, F8 Any. There we go.
Wouldn't it technically be, if you're going to pronounce it properly, Fateny?
Well, I guess so.
Fateny, it would be, wouldn't it?
It'd be Late Gert Fateny. There we go.
Education kids.
He's 9th. GT Delhi B in 10th. MVP Corner Crack in 11th. Moss 1984 12th. Silver Casa 13th. Giamo 1098 in 14th. P Gibb 15th. Reedy 16th. And Kevin McEntee in 17th with 4 points. Now obviously a slightly different point structure for ACC this season. It's not your usual 21, 18, 15. It is 21, 19, 18, 17 and a point less for further down the field. It basically means that you can have 20 people in the lobby, and if you finish 20th you get a point. So, and I think it's going to keep the championship quite close this season. In terms of Lobby 2, this is the one I raced in, and I should have had a better result than I did, but there we go. Gnarly Pop dominated the race. It was really, really close qualifying, but mistakes from the leading pack early on just allowed Gnarly to get away and win the race in his Mercedes. Burnt Fry 699 was in second in his BMW. Kind of had it on the plateau really, because me and Nick Osluz, who finished third and fourth respectively, I made a mistake into turn 1, and I think Nick Osluz got turned around by a back marker, which is very unfortunate for him, which meant Brent Fry gained from that into second. Myself third on the podium, Nick Osluz in fourth, Mark Broadbent fifth in the Aston Martin. MRC Dan Gleibor, who unfortunately he finished sixth, but unfortunately he's no longer able to compete in the league because his PS4 died. Sounds like a painful death. So he was a little bit. He was enjoying the GT3 league as well, and I know. I've raced against Dan Tony, who is his real name, in other things in another group, so I know for a definite that when he says his PS4 died, it's definitely died. Zelly Grace was 7th with Hempy 999 in 8th. G Harvey was in 9th. Andy 81287. I've got a feeling I'm pretty certain that's Andy Campbell. That one. He's 10th. I5 Wilco in 11th. Hemo 444 Everest, one of the guys who should have been higher up, finished 12th in the end. Beef Mush in 13th. Next Gen Danzo 14th. Diving Pro 3110 in 15th. Urban Turtle 16th. And the real Big Ben didn't strike twice. He didn't finish the race.
How long had you been prepping that joke for?
About 2 seconds, mate. It literally just popped in my head. I'm in one of those moods, put it that way. But yeah, really close racing in the whole field, which is good to see, between multiple manufacturers. I mean, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want to say 8 different manufacturers represented in Lobby 2 this season.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, really good to see in that respect. So yeah,
Awesome
the next race is tomorrow at Monza, but it's a wet Monza, so that's going to be very interesting indeed. And places are being filled up. I think there's not a lot of space left in terms of the 2 lobbies. We are nearing 40 entries currently in that one.
Wow.
For Elliot.
That's incredible on console. That's really good to hear. So make sure you get yourselves involved if you've got Assetto Corsa in a GT3 car. Of course, it sounds like it's going to be a mainstay of the seasons to come. In any case, especially on PS4 and PS5. We also have another league on Wednesday, if Jordan doesn't mind me jumping in.
Go for it.
Yeah, got the iRacing Legends League. Obviously, a big fanfare in terms of those that are associated with this on iRacing, of course, on PC. 3 races on the night for each circuit that they go to. And for the first round, they went to Brands Hatch, India. I saw some of the stream as it was ongoing. I think it was on board with Lee, I believe. I saw a little bit of.
I saw. Sorry, Jack. I saw a bit of a stream in the admin chat, which was quite funny.
Yeah, so that's another thing I was going to mention, but I'll come back to that in a moment. But yeah, looking at the championship standards after the 3 races, Bobby Thompson, obviously former British touring car driver last season, he scored 2 race wins, but didn't compete in race 3. So it was Matt Allen who took the final race 3 victory. But in terms of championship standings, it's actually neither of those 2 leading the way. It's actually Mikey, I want to say Doble,
yeah.
Doble, yeah, I got it right first
like
time.
Noble.
Doble like Noble. He
Noble Doble
is currently leading the championship on 67 points after 3 second places. Really good consistency from Mr. Mikey at the front there. Matt Allen is second on 54 points. Bobby Thompson is on 50 after his 2 race wins. Freddie Hewitt is 4th on 47 points. Ollie Peters is in 5th on 46. Dan Holland is in 6th place on 41 points. Morgan Short is 37 points currently. Gavin Allen is on 35 points. Jamie Dory, who we'll briefly mention in a minute, which Jordan was alluding to, he's on 34 points in 9th. And Michael Seal is 10th on 32 points. Jordan, would you like to tell the ladies and gentlemen about what you saw on the stream?
What I saw
Jamie?
with my very young eyes, yeah. Yeah, so basically it was a clip. If you don't know Jamie, yeah, if you're not familiar with the joke, we have a lot of fun as not only an admin but as a general community group, and we call Jamie the albino gorilla because someone decided to Photoshop his face on an albino gorilla, and it pretty much suited him down to a T, I think, didn't it? And during the stream of the Legends, I remember Alex went on. The camera was on Jamie for the start of race 3, and he brought up his name, and the picture came up on the live stream next to his name of Jamie's face on an albino gorilla, and it was probably the funniest thing ever, because it now the number of people that would have watched that stream would have been quite large. I think I've now just seen Jamie's face on a white gorilla.
Yeah, so that's forever associated with Jamie now. We can't escape it, unfortunately for him. But what like a really good set of races. I was able to tune in for a little bit of time, and the Legends cars seem quite fun to drive. They seem quite intense as well.
I would say I know, but I don't.
Yeah, so very fascinating to see how that league gets on. 23 drivers raced last Wednesday.
Interesting as well. Tom Porter, TP86, just commenting on the stream, because I've got the comments up on my stream, saying that he managed a top 20 finish in race 3 in the Legends, and there's a lot of fast guys, very fast guys in that league. He's also just said he was so far off the pace. He's saying it's very tricky cars, but I guess if you haven't done any practice in them or don't quite understand, or maybe even just
they seem quite intense.
Yeah,
watching them. They do seem quite sort of.
They look like Clios, but rear-wheel drive and probably nicer looking.
I think for the Legends, looking from it, it feels like because it is an older car, it looks a lot more manual. You know, you know what I'm referring to on that when I say manual, but it definitely doesn't look like the type of car that has ever really seen any form of driver aid except for the left foot and the right foot. So
I hope you're using the arms for that.
But in any case, Legends are going quite well. 23 drivers, like I say, took part over the course of those 3 races. Next week, or rather this Wednesday, tomorrow, they're heading off to Donington Park National for 3 races. So let's see if Mikey Doble can keep his championship lead.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for certain.
Let's move on to Thursdays then, shall we?
Thursdays, yes.
Which way would you like to go first?
Which way can we go?
You can either go McGann's or we can go Assetto Corsa on the PC.
Let's go Assetto Corsa on the PC.
Assetto Corsa on the PC.
Because there's a few more tables to look at in for that one.
Shall you go for the Pro? I'll go for the Am.
Yep, and then we can do the overall afterwards.
Yeah.
So, Pro class, we have 12 drivers. 1 DNA did not start, 1 did not finish. But what I must stress is, in these classes, there's not going to be a lobby full of one class. These 2 classes race together in one lobby, which is why there is only, I think, 22 in total across 22-23 across both classes. That's the reason why, is because they do race in the same lobby, which does make it very interesting on track, I must admit, Jack, because if you're an AM driver and you have a Pro behind you, you then have a decision to make. Do you want to take the overall points, or just not lose any time in your class and just take your class points? Because obviously there is an overall championship to go with it. So it makes for quite an interesting concept, I think.
I know what I'd do in that situation, but obviously
you'd let the Pro go.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, I would. I would, because I ain't going to win the overall.
You're wrong, my friend.
I ain't going to win the overall, so I might as well win the class. But anyway, in the pro class, we had 12 drivers registered for it. 11 raced last week. They went to Kyalami for a 75-minute race, and it was Ben Walker who took the pro victory, with Michelle Perella in second. Jack Young was third, with Killian Girardet in fourth. Girardet, maybe? I don't know. Gary Smith was in fifth. Fraser Roston sixth. Bas Tolsma was in seventh. Connor Garrard was in eighth. Lenny Jonganil, I think I've said that right, Jonganil, he was in ninth. Richard Alconley, he was in 10th. And Kevin Smith did not finish the race, with Uncle not starting, and I believe there was work reasons for that, not non-starter.
Additionally, swinging that over to the amateur class, and a bit of a double entry here, so we going to confuse you a little bit now for those that listen for the amateur class. Joe Chu took the amateur class spoils. He took 21 points, and Richard O'Connelly took second place on 18, but however he's been registered on both the pro list and the amateur list.
I think I know the reason why.
Is he been moved?
No, I believe the reason is at the moment I think there was one or two drivers which didn't have an exact class yet because they didn't complete the qualifying. I think they signed up after the qualifying was decided, so they're currently being decided on what class to be put in. So I got a feeling that the way Kevin's done it is he's put them in both classes for now, and will adjust after round 2 when their class gets finally decided.
Makes sense, but Richard O'Connelly currently in second in the amateur class as it stands. Andrew Jones finished third. He got himself 15 points. Andreas Bayer was fourth. Daniel Merchant was in fifth. Bob Bartle, who you'll recognise, George, he was sixth. Harry Mears 7th. Luke Sedman 8th. Tom Tweedy in 9th. The acronym of his name there is TT. Adam Clark finished in 10th place, and Gareth Trewen, he did not start the race. I believe there were some issues in that respect. So that was the amateur class around Kyalami, and they're heading to Zandvoort next week. I keep saying next week, it's only on Thursday. They're heading to Zandvoort for, it's a 60-minute race, I believe, isn't it?
It is a 60-minute race. I've just got confirmation on the overall tab that the points are to be recalculated after round 2 for individual pronoun splits.
Right.
In terms of overall, though, it was Ben Walker who took the overall victory. Michelle Perella in second, Jack Young third, Killian Girardet in fourth, Gary Smith fifth, Fraser Ross in sixth, Bas Tolsma in seventh, Connor Garrett in eighth, Lenny Jonganil in ninth, Rob Jackson 10th, Joe Chu in 11th, Richard A. Connolly in 12th, Andrew Jones in 13th, Andreas Bayer in 14th, Daniel Merchant 15th, Bob Bartle 16th. He was the last overall point scorer. Harry Mears, Luke Sedman, Tom Tweedy, Kevin Smith, Adam Clark, all non-scoring, with Gareth Trowen, Ian Court, Camille Gnis not starting the race. As you say, 60 minutes to Zandvoort next week, and that's a great circuit. Very difficult to overtake on there.
That's going to be. There aren't many, like you say, Jordan. There aren't many opportunities for overtakes on the circuit, especially at Zandvoort. Biggest opportunity going into turn 1. You'd have to be very brave.
Tarzan hairpin, yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say Tarzan as well. So it's going to be a tricky race for them, I reckon. Looking forward to watching that though.
Yeah, it's always going to be a good race around Zandvoort. It's going to be tight, that's for certain. It's going to be very, very tight, but we shall see. We shall see when they get there on Thursday. Moving on, McGann Trophy League. It's back for another season, and as we know, Jack, it's pretty much full. It is full in terms of entries. I think we got a couple of drivers who may have to miss the race too every now and again, but which is obviously a new format for the Megans. 2 races. The first race being a 20-minute qualifying. Everyone qualifies for the grid for race 1, 20 minutes of that, and then a 15-minute reverse grid race, which I think after round 1 proved to be very successful. In my opinion. And we went to Dragon Trail Seaside 2, which is the reverse, meaning chicane of death, the opposite way, the unnatural way, in my opinion, for the circuit. Jack, did you want to start with Lobby 2?
Yeah, of course. So, in terms of Lobby 2, across the 2 races, it was very hectic. There was a lot of battles going on throughout the field. Race 1, as I said in the stream, for those that were watching, and quite a lot of people were watching in terms of the overall view so far, which is fantastic for Next Gen. The opening 6 minutes were the most hectic I've ever commentated on ever in Next Gen. I didn't stop at all. It was just lead changes, cars going off circuit, hitting the chicane, all manner of things happening. Dominator went free, put it on pole, went backwards off the start. 1805 was right in the mix. Big Z led briefly. KZ2 Haas was running near the front as well, and it all eventually came back down and settled in. And Dominator 3 took the first race victory of the night, which is really good to drive from him. His first ever win on the Megans. He made his debut last season, so a nice early win there. 1805 took his first podium this season, obviously in the first race. He sort of just drove consistently, got himself up to second. It was really well done. D. Hartley 79 on his first ever Megan race, he finished third. Big Madaz was fourth, having set a fastest lap during the race. So very good to watch. A lot of action throughout the field. Bit of bad luck for a couple of drivers, but they had the chance obviously to then turn that around come race 2. But race 2 obviously meant that starting from pole position was Greener Army. Next Gen the Belt was alongside him. I have to say, Next Gen the Belt led off the line. He got a good fair way into the lap before he got swished by. A lot of drivers were fighting for. Danzo led the race, looking like he could have took his first ever victory in the Megans. He's been competing in this series since the opening round in season 17 at Brands Hatch. Didn't quite pull off for him, but he was right in the thick of the action all the way through. It was D. Hartley 79 who took that first race win for himself, the first in the Megans in only his second start. So really good battle between himself and Dominator 3 to settle that. Dominator finished second. Third place went the way of Duds. He just held off Danzo in the end, and there was a huge set of battles for the further placings behind that. And it was nice to see drivers, coming back into the series like KZ2 Haas, newcomers like Chalk 12, Duskiver, and a few others as well, putting in some good performances. So it was really competitive all the way through both races. In terms of the championship standings, Next Gen Dominator 3 leads the way on 41 in Lobby 2 at the moment. D. Hartley 79 is on 36. Then it's very close for third. 1805 is on 26. Big Madaz is on 26. Duds is on 25 in 5th place. And then Chalk 12 is 6th on 21. And just a point back from that is Duskiver and Danzo on 20 points each. I won't go any further down than that. I'll just do the top 8. But very good racing, and they're heading to Sardinia for round 2 for both of those races. Jordan, over to Lobby 1.
It was in Lobby 1, and what a shock we had this week, or should I say last week. It was sensational, really. For the first time, Heracram did not take the first pole position. Normally, whenever we have these qualifying rounds, 9 times out of 10 you can guarantee Heracram puts it on pole position, and this must be the 10th race that he's qualified in for the Megans, because he didn't put it on pole. Ruddo did, and it was some incredible battles. You had Ruddo and Heracram at the front fighting it out for the lead of the race. Matty Rudd with Hillclimb Racer, Rally Matt, fighting it for third. Further back you had myself and Adam ID fighting out for like 7th and 8th, or something like that, or 9th and 10th, something like that. We were battling near the back of the pack. It was racing everywhere, and to be fair to Chris, who does the commentary for Lobby 1, he did a fantastic job trying to keep up with it all. He very, very much trying to keep everyone on the screen at the same time is not an easy job, as you just said, Jack, in your race as well. But race 1, it was Rado24 who took the victory with the pole position point. Hirakram second with the fastest lap point, as expected. Followed by Matty Rudd and Hill Climb Race at 7. Rally Matt was in 5th. And I'll just go for the top 5 because why not? Time's moving on. In terms of race 2, notable things as well. Timmy finished at the back for race 1 because he had a few connection issues in terms of lag. And also Bruce Lee Harding also finished near the back of the pack, second to last because of an accident he had through the chicane of death. And later in the race he had an accident through the S's, as you know, Jack, before the hairpin left at the top of the circuit. He hit that ball there, so it meant that those two were on the front row for the second race, and my word, did Timmy grab it with both hands. He got up and left the field. Bruce, still a bit wary of the lag that Timmy showed, didn't try anything silly, but Timmy managed to get up and start to gap everyone, and he didn't lose that lead through the entirety of the race, so he meant he outright won it. Hill Climb Racer done well. He came back through the field to get into second place, with Bruce Lee Harding taking a well-deserved third to reignite his championship challenge in that midfield. Probably a battle for fourth at the moment as it stands. In terms of other things, Hirakram managed to make his way up to fourth, followed by Rado24. So Hirakram taking the pole position point, so he took 14 points. Rado took 12 points, and that was the top 5 there. So in terms of overall points, I'm going to read them all, Jack, because it's all quite close, really. Rado24 leads the way on 34 points, with Hirakram on 33. Hill Climb Racer has 31, so 3 points covering the top 3. Timmy in 4th has 25 points, with Matty Rudd on 22, joint with Rally Matt. Adam ID has 20, joint with Bruce Lee Harding. P Gibb has 19, and then we've got Martin, JL09, and JBH myself, both on 16. So Bertus and Snav both have 10, and D10 Piper, who unfortunately couldn't make the first race but made the second race, is on 6. So a very tight championship indeed after round 1. And as you say, we go to Sardinia, the road track B variant, for round 2 on Thursday, which we hasn't been seen since I believe season 2 of the Megans. So what would that be, season 18?
It would be.
So it had a season out, it's come back in, and I think it's going to be some good racing around there from past experience.
Would be good. Be looking forward to that. In terms of live commentary, of course, and the McGanns from CJW Racing for Lobby 1, and myself, Jack T, Ep15 synopsis on Lobby 2. Now, moving on to Friday, of course, we've got the GTE, that's the iRacing Grid Engineering GTE League, that's hosted by Matt Emmons. They had their first race last Friday at Silverstone GP. They had 2 races, of course, the sprint race and the feature race. First race seemed to go quite interestingly for the drivers. Matt Acton took that first race victory of the year in terms of the season in that respect, so good result for him, taking the 25 points. Again, point system a little bit different in this GTE league, but I will explain that shortly. Eric Newman took second place, he got 20 points. Matthew Hodges third, taking 17 points. Miles Owen was fourth, taking 15 points. Adam Gale was 5th, taking 12. And Kevin Smith, as we all know, he took 6th place and 10 points in that sprint race. The feature race, though, played out a little bit differently. Eric Newman, following on from his 2nd place in the sprint race, he took 1st, taking those 25 important points for the championship. 2nd place went to Matthew Hodges, so he improved from his 3rd from the sprint race. He took 2nd. Matt Acton took 3rd place after winning the sprint race. Fourth went the way of Miles Owen, so 2 fourth places for him. Good, consistent point scoring for Miles. Fifth went the way of Colin Martin, after scoring only 6 points in the first race, up to 12 and up to 5th on that matter. Sam Holman was 6th on 10 points, and I will read the rest of the championship standings out in a sec, because it'll probably be a little bit easier to read out the top 10. So Eric Newman leads the championship so far on 45 points. Looking good for him so far after a first and a second place. Matt Acton is second on 42. Matthew Hodges is third on 37. Miles Owen is fourth on 30. Then there's a bit of a gap back to everybody else. Colin Martin is fifth on 18 points. Kevin Smith is sixth on 16 points. Sam Holman is seventh, currently on 13. Paul Scott is 8th on 12, level with Adam Gale, who couldn't make race 2, unfortunately for him. And then rounding out the top 10 was Eric Nords. He was on 10 points. There are a bunch of drivers as well who either were unable to make the race, or rather they couldn't finish one of the races. That included Jean Lierto, missed or couldn't score points in the first one. George Bland as well, couldn't get any points in the first one. Ian Crosby missed the second race, didn't score any points there. Jochen Seeger missed and didn't score in both races, nor did Matt Emmons, the host, and Nathan Dixon didn't in the sprint race and retired from the feature race. So
it looks like a top 12 scoring system.
It does look like a top 12 scoring system. So for the drivers, Silverstone, interesting to see that the front 4 are already making a bit of a bid for freedom after the opening 2 races, but there's still lots of time left. Their second race this Friday is at Interlagos, the Brazilian circuit, which always throws up an interesting mixed grid in those GTE cars. So let's see how that goes. But that's it for Friday.
Yeah, moving to Saturday, we go back to ACC, and the first league to go back on a Saturday for a long time, Jack, is the GT4 League. We headed to Monza this week. Again, I participated in it because, I participate in almost everything because I'm nuts. And it was a very surprise victor in the GT4 class, because Kill City is doing the championship. Now, Kill City is doing the championship, Jack. What do you think?
Usually you'd expect him to win, Jord.
Usually. Unfortunately, this time around, that wasn't to be the case. It was STDR's Gerino, who people from Project Cars 2 who may remember him from. In his Audi, he took the victory by 17 seconds. It wasn't just a minor victory, it was a very big victory around there. Kill City ended up second in his McLaren, with Gnarly Pop in third in his Mercedes. MVP Corner Crack in the KTM was in fourth. Cam 123 Diz in the Porsche was fifth, so good stuff by him, because he is very new to ACC is Cam, which is Matt Jordan, so he's picking it up quite quickly. GT Delhi B was in 6th in the BMW. Hukan Lucan 7th in his BMW. Stu Packham, I'm just going to say his name because it's easier, in 8th in his Janetta. Hempy 999 in his BMW was 9th. I finished 10th in my Mercedes. It was a really stupid error in the pit lane, giving myself a 30-second stop-go penalty. Good one for me. NXTGEN Beanflagger was 11th after an earlier incident. He's on, and Mad Ginge was 12th. Now, I must stress that these are still currently provisionals. We're just waiting a final verdict on something. Jack, you know what I'm talking about because you're there. So these are still slightly provisional. But that is the way round 1 went, and obviously that's the order because they only do one race of an hour.
Brilliante.
They head this Saturday. They head to Brands Hatch GP for another hour-long race.
Cool stuff. So we're moving on to Sunday for the Fast Start BMW M4 Group 4 2 lobbies. For this one, Jordan, I'll ask you to do League 2 if you can for me.
Yeah.
So just looking at Lobby 1, unless Jordan wants to cut in before he says anything.
Well, I was just going to say there are 2 classes in Lobby 1, if you didn't know, Jack.
Yes.
There are 2 classes.
Well, do explain for everybody, though, because you're in the middle of your segue.
2 classes for Lobby 1. They have what they class as their Alien class and then the Pro class. So the Alien class is basically a group of drivers who are much quicker than the rest. I think what I will do to help you out there, Jack, is I will send you the tables, because they may be a little bit nice to look at than that, because that looks like they're all mixed together.
That's very kind of you, Jordan.
So bear with me a moment, I've just got to find the M4 chat on Facebook Messenger. There it is. So
once it gets sent through, everybody can carry on with the podcast. I can see the comments are flying in on YouTube. Seems to be a lot of debate going on at the moment.
Mad Ginge, Reedy, and I think Cam was here a minute ago.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was, in terms of the difference between the Alien League, as it's being dubbed, and the Division 1 League, as it's being known for the others. But in terms of the championship standings and the tallies, makes things a little bit more awkward. But I'll do what I can. So in terms of the Alien League, looking at everything, as awkward it is to say that, VLX Sparks took pole position, fastest lap and the race win in race 1, 23 points, the maximum score you can get in the GT Sport Leagues. TNR Philo was able to come home in second place. GTP Rick WRX, who obviously won Lobby 2 last season, not a surprise, he's in the Alien League, he's got 15 points, he was third. Double MR Luke Mitchell was fourth, and Luke Doherty did not start, so only 4 drivers competing in that Alien division on Sunday. In terms of race 2 for the Aliens, looking at it again, TNR Philo scored the overall race victory. He got himself 21 points. VLX Sparks got fastest lap. He took 19 points on his way to that. Second place for him. Double MR Luke Mitchell, he got 15 points, and GTP Rick got 4th place. Their scoring is as follows. VLX Sparks is on 42 points, TNR Philo 39, Luke Mitchell and GTP Rick on 28 points each, and obviously Luke Doherty didn't start, so he's on 0. In terms of Division 1, looking at it, it's a little bit different. Matthew Lambert took the spoils. He got the full-blown 23 points of fastest lap, pole position, and the race win. Second place went the way of, I believe, it was NXTGEN Neutro Storm, so a return to the podiums for him in quite some time. Martin JL09 took third place, he got 15 points, obviously Lobby 2 champion of the McGanns last season was Martin. In 4th place in the race was Gino Demmer, he scored 13, Suburtus was 5th in the Division 2 class. 6th place was DCAS 16, 7th was Edge HGAG. In 8th we had NXTGEN Reset to Track. This is a nice PSN name, I quite like that. And in 9th place was Duskiver. The only other driver who didn't take part because he couldn't make it was D10 Piper, who didn't start both of those races. But that was just race 1. Race 2 in the Division 1 class, we had a race winner of NXTGEN Reset to Track. So fair play to him, he took race 2 spoils. Second place was Martin JL09, so 2 podiums in 2 races for Martin. Third place was NXTGEN Neutro Storm, so 2 podiums for him as well. Matthew Lambert, who won race 1 of the Division 1 class, he scored 14 points with 4th. Obviously he got an additional point for fastest lap. In terms of after that, in 4th place to then 5th, we had Gino Demmer, or rather, no it wasn't, it was Suburtus who scored that 5th place. 6th went to Gino Demmer, 7th was Duskiver, 8th was DCAS 16, and Edge HJG was 9th. In terms of the championship standings for Division 1, Matthew Lambert lead the way on 37 points, Martin JL09 and NXTGEN Neutro Storm both on 33 points. NXTGEN Reset to Track is 4th on 30, Gino Demmer is 5th on 24, Suburtus is also tied with him on the same score. DCAS 16 is in 7th, he's on 20 points, and Edge, HJG and Discover both tied in 8th place in Division 1 on 18 points, with D10 Piper rounding out the field because he didn't start either race. That was huge, Jordan.
Lobby 2 then, full 16 drivers. I must also say, Jack, Lobby 1 is live commentated on by Paul Welsh, whose Twitch is TX141, so make sure you go follow him for live commentary on those Sunday Lobby 1 races. But in terms of Lobby 2, yours truly is doing points, post-race replay comms for that each week, so that'll be out later this week at some point once I stop racing. But a full 16 driver lobby, so they have a 31-man league effectively signed up entry wise, which is good to see for a Sunday league especially. Really pushing on there. But race 1, it was NXTGEN Robo FPV who returns to GT Sport. You should know the name, Jack, obviously.
Yeah, indeed.
He took pole position and the victory from NXTGEN Dark Sykes, who I think took fastest lap. Looking at the colour code, he's not quite got that right. But NXTGEN Dark Sykes, the host of the league, took second place with the bonus point. Then from there, it was TP86 Racing in third, Duds in fourth, fifth was NXTGEN Dominator, sixth NXTGEN Leo Frick, and I'll go down to Bixie who got seventh there. In terms of race 2 though, obviously they reverse grid it for race 2, and it was NXTGEN Danzo who took the victory in that one. Him scoring 21 points. Duds was second with 1805 in third, so a completely different podium to race number 1. So we've had 6 different podium places in 2 races in the BMW M4 League for Lobby 2, which is good to see. After that, it was Dark Sykes in 4th, 5th was Robert FPV, 6th was Chalk 12, who also took fastest lap, which is fair play to him, and 7th was NXTGEN Leo Frick. In terms of overall standings, Robo FPV leads the way on 34 points with Dark Sykes on 32. Duds has 31 with Danzo on 28. Then there's a slightly bigger jump, 6 points then to TP86 Racing with Leo Frick on 21, joint with NXTGEN Dominator and 1805, all on 21 points. Shadowstalker DBS 9th, joint with Big Z and Chalk 12, all on 16 points there. Pokey Prelude is on 13, Happy Henny and NXTGEN The Belt both on 8, Smurf 2929 on 4, and NGR Rapid Ace did not start the evening's races. So that's how they look, and they head to Brands Hatch GP Sunday coming for round number 2.
Great stuff. So that ends the week in terms of racing at NXTGEN in terms of Monday to Sunday, but we've still got the Monday and Tuesday leagues to cover. Now, what I would do normally here at this point is talk about the Race Room WTCR, the Power Max Racing League, for the touring cars. However, we did speak about those last week for round 1. There's been no update to the points tally, so we can't discuss the events of what has happened at Watkins Glen, unfortunately, so we will come back to that for next week. But it's segued perfectly into me talking about the M3 League instead. I think that'd be fine to do, Jordan, unless you want to talk about
No, you go for it.
I'll go for it then. So round 2 happened of the M3 E30 League, obviously 4 Dices League in that respect, and the drivers headed off to Dragon Trail Seaside, the normal route that you would take around that circuit in the Croatian sort of based circuit on the edge of the lake. And Next Gen Les went into this as the season favourite, and sure enough, he took pole position at the start of the race. But he didn't have it all his own way. Unfortunately, an incident on lap 1 dropped him down the order, and he spent a lot of it trying to fight his way back through before spinning off again. He ended up limiting his results. A lot of different cars could have won. Mehanesta was leading the way for most of it. He made a mistake. Rally Matt 85 then popped up to take the spoils in race 1, so he got defaults blown, 21 points. Adam ID took second, 3 second places in a row for Adam, impressive feat from him. Thanks to a penalty for Mehanesta, post-race applied, he dropped out of the podium position, which allows Bruce Lee Harding to take his first podium of the season on 15 points. Fourfish was fourth. He just about held off Les to the line. Les ended up recovering to get 5th place. However, he ironically scored more points at Fourfish because he took a point for pole and a point for fastest lap. Mehanesta, after his penalty, dropped down to 6th. He's on 11 points there. And Dud's CF14 was 7th. 8th place went the way of Next Gen Danzo. 9th was Traumatic Dave after an unfortunate incident involving himself and Joey Dunlop. Just an accident through the chicane of death that claimed a few drivers on the night. And 10th place was Next Gen Bigsy. In terms of race 2, full blown reverse grid, so we flip it around on its head again. And on the front row, it was Tim, which Tim took to an interesting start for him, the Castrol livery driver, but he's getting better, and you can see that. And Les has even spoke about trying to help Tim move forward and get up to speed pretty quickly, which is really nice to see in terms of the community helping those play GT sport. Les, though, the greatest teacher you could probably have, because he won Dragon Trail Seaside Race 2. The second event, he flew through the field. It was a great drive from him. He took that race victory. Mehanesta battered away his issues from race 1 after his penalty. He came home in 2nd place. 3rd was Fourfish, who took fastest lap. First time he's done that this season. 4th place was Rally Matt 85. 5th place was Adam ID. 6th went the way of Traumatic Dave. 7th place was Next Gen Danzo. 8th was Bruce Lee Harding. He had a bit of a tricky time of it. 9th was Dud CF14, and 10th place was Joey Dunlop 3. In terms of the championship standings, then looking at those results that we've got there, and from my own commentary and my own memory, Next Gen Les leads the championship on 73 points. He's got a 6-point advantage over Adam ID, who's on 67. Rally Matt 85 is on 62. Mehanesta is on 61 points. Fourfish is on 52 points in 5th place in the championship. Bruce Lee currently in 6th on 44. Traumatic Dave on 40 points in 7th. Next Gen Danzo is 8th on 35. Joey Dunlop and Duds round out the top 10 joint on 28. Very good racing though, very hectic, a lot of inspired driving going on from some of the drivers, in particular Les. And Rally Matt drove excellently in race 1. He really put himself into the big fights. Next week, on Monday, we'll head off to Interlagos for round 3 and race 1 and race 2, and that will be post-race commentary applied from myself, this week being a one-off for the live events. Over to you, Jord.
Yeah, and I've also sent you some pictures so we can go back to the WTCR. Because I have some insider knowledge on where to find stuff. Yeah. No, moving on. Hang on.
Jordan has quite literally moved on, so I'm not sure where he went.
Apologies. Moving on to the ACC KTM Crossbow League. We went to Zolder, just gone, yesterday, and for me the car.
I don't know.
For me the car was horrible to drive. It was horrible, but nonetheless we still raced, and we had our first double race winner. MVP Corner Crack won race 1 with Next Gen Beam Flicker in 2nd, and Cam123 Diz on his debut in the series finishing 3rd. 4th was Mamster, 5th GT Delhi B. In terms of race number 2, now obviously ACC we can't reverse the grid, so we do another qualifying to do for race 2, but it was MVP corner crack once more to win, with Bean Flicker in second. Third this time though was Stuart Packham, fourth GT Delhi B, and fifth ended up being myself in that race. In terms of the overall championship, NXTGEN Bean Flicker leads the way on 78 points. He's got a nice 10-point cushion to Mamster on 68, GT Delhi B on 65, Lollipop 62, Zlatan on 60, myself 57, Westy SEI W20 on 56, with MVP Corner Crack already on 42, so making up for lost time after not being able to do first couple of round races. Cam123 Diz on 27, Burnfry 25, FOE R80 Riley on 24, Hempine 999 on 22, Kevin McKenty on 21, P1 Pilgrim has 12 with Stuart Packham, whose thing hasn't updated, which is kind of annoying, but he is on 33 points, so he will be placed in 9th at the moment. It's a bit weird why that didn't update, but there we go. Next Monday we head to Nürburgring for the German round of the series, because this season the KTMs do not visit the same country twice, so we're going for the German round at the Nürburgring, and it's all a case now of whether NXTGEN Bean Flicker can actually keep that cushion of a lead. I mean, it's early days, but he's looking strong in this car.
Yeah, see whether he gets on with it, takes another potential title. I'm sure he'd be very happy if he can achieve that. So it's going to be a good one to have a watch of and see how the drivers get on with that. Now, Jordan, you sent me through a table, and I've already seen this table. And I believe this is still the round 1 table for race room.
Hang on. They are here.
Am I right?
Those ones are...
Don't think there is anything, is there?
the points are correct for round 2.
Points correct for round 2?
I believe so. Hang on.
That is peculiar if that's the case. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulties. Actually, I say technical difficulties, what I should say is one of the hosts hasn't sent through the bloody thing.
It looks like that may have been amendments for
so
round
there's been
1.
no update for round 2. Actually, no, there's definitely not been, because it says Daytona instead of Watkins Glen.
Well, they're weird enough. I wanted them to say next round 3 is Anvil.
We'll never know, ladies and gentlemen, what happened in race room round 2. It will forever be a mystery.
I'm sure I can find out somewhere. Hang on. Let me have a look.
I've had a look while you were talking before. Nothing there. Just having a quick check for the time being. Hope everyone's doing okay. Just seeing a
no,
no.
Even on the master, because I know Lee has a different master file. It looks like it's not updated on that one. So no, we'll carry on to the next league,
which is the one that we compete in.
It is, yes.
As teammates. George, tell me how it went for you. I know how it went for you, but tell the ladies and gentlemen how it went.
Well, I've got a smile on my face, which is rare.
I know.
It's very rare. No, it's obviously we went to Hungary. This round, and for me, it was a good round. I mean, I in reality, I kind of got quite lucky in some respects. But if you don't take the luck, then there you go. You won't take you never get a decent position. But no, I qualified 4th. Did I not? Yes, it was 4th.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
just behind Mikey, behind the two Mercedes, because we'll come to you in your qualifying because you didn't like that. No, I got off the line and it was a really, really strange start. Mikey had a bit of lag at the start. I suddenly had a mad ginge down the inside of me when there was only half a car's width there. And one of the new drivers, Eliminates, managed to get up into 4th place. Was it 4th? No, 4th, 5th?
Yeah,
5th,
yeah, he got
5th.
right up there, yeah.
He got to 5th because Mikey managed to get away with all of it. Got up into 5th. I managed to keep getting to 6th, and I made quite possibly one of the most ballsy moves I've ever tried through turn 5. Obviously, turn 5 being that really fast leftover crest, blind as you like, and I decided that I was already alongside it. I went around the outside of I Eliminates through turn 5 and kept it there for the inside for turn 6. I don't think I'm ever going to try it again, but it worked out at the time, so I managed to get up into 5th and was gradually nipping time out of Mikey, nipping time, and Mikey went for a really early pit stop, which surprised me, even you, Jack, didn't it? He went for a pit stop really, really early, so I wonder if he actually done 2 qualifying laps on that set of tyres.
Yeah, potentially.
Which would explain it. But so he came in the pits, and you were chasing down Alex in the Mercedes, and they had. I'll let you explain the Mercedes battle and the contact because you were there and I wasn't. But obviously the Mercedes came into the pits, so I jumped up. Alex had a 5-second penalty to be served, and he got stacked by his teammate in Reedy, which was quite funny and quite helpful in reality. So there, I went on to lap 7, came in the pits, nothing was really wrong, came back out, was behind both the Ferraris, but Lionel Griesby and Matty had to make a pit stop anyway because he started on the mediums, and I was behind Mikey and yourself, Jack, because obviously you managed to get past Mikey, and then I almost feel sorry for Mikey because there was a back marker in I Eliminates and he did not get out of the way, and it cost Mikey a lot of time to the point that I'd caught him back up. I mean, there was like a 2-3 second gap between us at one point, and I caught that time back up, and so Mikey, after about a whole lap of sitting behind this Renault, Mikey managed to get down the inside of it, turn 1. I followed him by admittedly dive bombing the back marker, but it worked out. And unfortunately for Mikey, he spun the rear wheels up coming out of turn 1, got a bit of a slapper on. I think as he came back, he just clipped my side pod and went into the wall, which was a bit of a shame because I think that would have been a really, really good battle in terms of that. But from there, obviously I picked up damage as well behind the back marker. He was just going really, really slow and caught, I think, both me and Mikey off guard. Obviously me a bit more, and I clipped my front wing. So I think after that it was just a case of crack on till the end, don't make a mistake, and take a podium, which I was quite happy with because I was not expecting a podium this season. That was my race. How was yours? Should we mention qualifying?
You alluded to it, George, thanks. Yeah, so going into this race, even before I started my stream, I said to Jordan that I wasn't feeling particularly confident. It wasn't so much the car, it was more sort of me. I felt a little bit race rusty. I'm not sure why, considering I was okay last week. And qualifying, practice went well. I say it went well, I broke my wing 3 times. So, yeah, it did go well as opposed to normal.
Well, when you're just winging it.
Yeah, but the mediums felt quite nice, and then I jumped onto the softs for qualifying, and I thought, I'm not going to do any quick runs to begin with, I'm just going to take it easy, just get the car dialed in, and then when I need to go for it on my best lap, I'll go for it. And I did 6 or 7 laps on this set of soft tyres. I just wanted to get a feel for the car, because I'd not done any practice on them. And then I'd done my race, so I say a heavy fuel run. And then the engineer comes over the radio with a lap to go, effectively saying just, fuel load critical, come into the pits. So I was on my way back into the pits. I came into the chicane, turn 7 and 8, the very tight right left-hander, and just got it loose out of the corner, and just it spat me into the wall. And I'd had 2 bigger crashes in practice and didn't break a wheel. And I've just watched this then, actually. I've got my own Twitch stream running in front of me at the minute, and I've just watched it, and I still don't quite understand the physics in terms of the crash. I mean, if it had been on anything higher or realistic, of course it'd have come off. But on reduced damage, I'd had 2 bigger crashes, and I hadn't even damaged the front wing. So that put me right on the back foot. And the worst thing is that I'd done 7 laps on these soft tyres, and that was the tyre I was going to set my race stint on. So feel free to go and check this on my Twitch stream, actually. So I started the race with 7 lap old tyres, which we were discussing whether it should be a 2-stop strategy or a soft to hard strategy, just depending on how I go. And I thought, no, I'm going to try. The mediums felt good to try and stretch out. And my start was pretty decent. I didn't make any places up, but I didn't lose anything. But Mikey was right behind the 2 Mercedes going into turn 1, and I just went right around the outside of him. It was chuffed with that move. And then just set about trying to deal with these tyres. I wasn't quicker than the 2 Mercedes in front of me to begin with, but then on lap 3 I started closing the gap because Alex and Reedy were both fighting each other going into turn 1 on lap 3, and there was a bit of contact between the 2 on the second corner, and I think it broke Alex's front wing or an end plate a little bit, because I certainly saw contact between the 2. So that has been a bit of a brown trousers moment, because I was hoping the pair of them would go round, but nevertheless it didn't. But I wasn't getting gapped as much as I thought, so I thought to myself, I'm queued up ready for the second half of the race. But we got to about lap 5, and I got right behind Alex, and we come into the penultimate corner, and Alex has explained this. He said his gears went a bit weird, and I hit the back of him and broke my front wing, and that basically ruined any chance I had of sticking with Reedy, because I felt like I had the pace to stay with Reedy. Whether it be a victory, I don't know. We'll never know that. So I had to deal with the front wing on tyres that were now 12 laps old, and that's including the qualifying run. So I was a bit annoyed, but I came out in second, and that's where I stayed for the rest of the race. The medium tyres were lovely. I was gaining time on Reedy. Whether Reedy was taking it a little bit easier because he'd had a nice gap, I don't know. But nevertheless, I'm really chuffed with that. Second place, it's put me right back in the championship hunt as well. So I'm really pleased with it. I wasn't expecting anything from Hungary. Got a result. It's a big result for me as well, because I'm moving house next week. For those that know, and I will be competing next week, but I won't be on my wheel. I'll be back on the controller. I've done a bit of practice on it. I feel okay. I'm not going to be as quick, but it's just about scoring some points, I think, for winging it with BTR. So I'm looking forward to it. I am. Zandvoort's an okay track for the controller. It's not been too strenuous, so I should be able to aim for a top 6. I don't think that'll be too problematic. But yeah, I mean, good result for us, George. We scored more points in the team standings this week than anyone else, so that's going to put us in good stead. Do you want me to tell everyone about the championship standings? Because I'm sure the guys who are in the chat are gonna want to know.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments. Lean from lap 12,
just said, yeah.
and Cameron just said he's going to be back to business, which he should have been business this week, really. But
this is still the thing I was going to say, actually. Cameron, who finished down in 8th place, we had a little fight towards the end. He was just trying to one-lap himself. I had no problem with that, because I know Cameron's a clean racer. Yeah, Cameron sort of got bullied into having to start a lap down to try and do a last to first challenge. Didn't quite play out. He finished 8th, but if you take the fact that he was a lap down, he finished about 2 corners behind me from the flag. He'd have been right in the thick of it with me, Reedy, and Alex. Seems like he was setting the pace. He did get fastest lap. He gets the point for that. But he was on the softs, and he blasted past me on the DRS. I just let him through when he was on the soft tyres, but then his tyres died after it. So yeah. In terms of championship, though, I'll just read it out for those because I'm sure they're going to be curious about it. Reedy leads the championship. He's on 35 points. Then Cameron and myself are on 34. Alex is on 28. Lionel Griesby's on 24. Jordan, you're on 23, so you're 6th in the championship. Beeler 007, who had a great result tonight, did Beeler. He finished 4th, he's on 19. Mikey RK13 is 8th on 11 points. Eliminators, he is in 9th after his debut in tonight's race. And Magins didn't finish tonight, but he is 10th in the championship standings. In terms of the teams, it's also very close for the first place. AER Motorsport, the Mercedes drivers lead it on 63 points. Winging it with BTR are right behind on 57. Alfa Romeo are 3rd on 37 points. Icempliciotti. The Ferraris, they're on 30 points. Red Bull are on 18. Williams are on 2. And Renault are on 1. And that's it from the F1 League, and we're off to Zandvoort next week.
Yeah, which should be good fun. Good fun. Very, again, difficult to overtake on, as we've already stated previously in the podcast this tonight.
Well then.
And if you remember, Jack, wasn't it last season... Wasn't it like a very mixed...
Wet.
It was wet, wasn't it? I can't remember whether it was a mixed weather or whether it was just a wet intermediate.
It was a very extreme wet race, and then it went to Inters later on. I won that race by without to brag, a country mile. But obviously I'm going to be on the controller, so that's not going to happen again. But we'll see how it goes. Zandvoort's a nice track. I like the flow of it. I think it'll be good for the controller users, so expect to see Mikey RK and Lionel Griesby a bit more competitive next week, because they're certainly capable of being right in the thick of it. I think the controllers will be a little bit easier to use around there, because Hungary's a tricky circuit on a controller, it really is. But I think, Jordan, we've covered it all.
I believe so. I mean, I think the only other thing to really discuss at the moment is the NXTGEN Dirt Rally team we've got going on at the moment. We've now got 2, which is good to see. And those boys will be doing Rally Australia this week. We've had Shakedown today, tomorrow. Day 1 starts on Thursday. So yeah, if... I'm sure, I think you put your stream out, but...
yeah, I will be.
Yeah, if you catch any of the drivers' streams, make sure to check it out and wheel them on. Because I think we're not doing too badly. I think we might be 3rd in the teams.
In the amateur class,
yes.
teams at the moment, so it's going well for us.
So yeah, keep an eye on that, because I'm sure, Jack, you'll probably be posting results after the week is finished from both teams, as we now have a NXTGEN Orange team entered into that. So. Yeah, double the chance, and let's see how it goes. But yeah, do check that out if you do spot any of the guys streaming in that league, and do support them.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching another instalment of Turbo Tuesday. Going to be wicked to have another one next week. Unfortunately, I won't be here next week, so we will have hopefully I'm assuming Jordan's going to have some special guests. Well, I will try and be back as soon as I can. Just, moving homes is a bit tricky to say little of it.
All the excuses, eh?
Sure. But nevertheless, it's good night from Jordan.
Good night.
And it's goodbye from me. And wherever you might be in the big wide world, have a good one and stay safe.